morning, friends. Welcome to a brand new week. And if you are here live, you are watching Map It Monday, where we are on the journey of spa life together, where we are having things unfold and seeing how we can make those little incremental change to bring ourselves more in alignment with living your spa life. So many of you may be asking, what is spa life? Spa life is a lifestyle. It is a lifestyle that accepts that accomplishment and harmony coexist. And as part of that, in this month, we are talking about relationships and about spa life relationships and how they affect your overall experience of living your spa life. So one of the things that we look at with that is, today's topic is how to deal with toxic people. Now, it's funny, me even just saying that kind of makes me cringe a little bit because I like to have really positive people in my space, and we really want to have some tools to really look at what happens when people who we feel that are toxic come into our space. And when I say toxic, it's something that may trigger something that is negative. It's not the experience that you want to have in your relationships, and a lot of times, sometimes toxic situations or negative experiences come up as a way of being able to have contrast in our life, to be able to really see the difference between when things are working and in flow and you feel love in relationships and you feel really good about what's happening, and then when things aren't quite in alignment, it gives you that chance of having some perspective and some really balance around what is the difference and where you want to move back to. So when we have that sense of toxicity in relationships, or just things that are just, maybe just not quite right. And this is all our different relationships, not just our primary relationships. It could be with our family, our friends, our clients, people we meet on the street. We really want to have some tools to really talk about and be able to move through when those experiences come up for us. So the first thing we want to look at is looking at what our own responsibility is in this. So what is your responsibility when these things come up in our life? So this means that we must be honest and trustworthy and positive in all of our dealings with people, and really look at our side of the street. So when I say that, when I talk about our side of the street, is what is it that we can control about ourselves, and to also look at what is our part in creating that third energy. So you may not have heard this before in terms of when people are in relationship, anyone that we are in connection with, there is our energy, who we are being and what we are bringing to the table, and then also what is the other person, how are they being and what are they bringing to the table. And when those two energies come together, there is what is called the third energy, where the two energies that come together and it creates this we energy of what it's like when those two people are together. Now, you may have had, hopefully, experiences when you're with someone and the energy of coming together, it's a beautiful, positive experience. You feel good around that person and you are being your best self. Now, however, you may, as an experience of contrast, been with people that when you come together, you may feel like you're being your best self. They may feel like they're being their best self, but there's something about the energy of when you come together that you maybe are bringing the worst out in each other. So those are opportunities to really look at, what is going on there? What are you bringing to the situation? What are they bringing to the situation? And to be able to have some conversation around that. So the first thing you want to be able to look at when these things come up is to take a look at your side of the street. That is really the first and only thing that you can really do in those situations, is how are you being? How are you contributing to the conversation, to the relationship, to all the things that you're looking at? A lot of times if I feel like I'm being short or snappy, I have to look at, am I not getting enough sleep? Am I, not having the conversations that I need to have? And that moves us into the second thing that you want to talk about, is having clear communication. So if you feel like things are maybe, a little rough in the conversation, you might want to take a deep breath and look at, am I being clear? And maybe saying some of the words that are like, can you please clarify that? I really don't understand what you're saying. Or even like, I don't quite understand what you mean by that. Because here's the other thing about looking at our side of the street. Someone may say something and we may take it in a different way than they actually meant it, which means we are reacting in ways that was not even at all part of the conversation. I mean, as kids, we maybe all played that game telephone where you whispered something in somebody's ear and it went around the room, and by the time it came back to the last person, it was completely a different thing than what was originally said. So we have to keep that in mind in our own communication, even just with one person, how we are saying things, how we are connecting with people, and what is being said, because our intention and energy in saying the things that we're saying may not be what it is and how it's landing for another person. So that's where you really want to be really clear about the kind of communication that you're having. So the third thing is that you want to be able to acknowledge, in what ways you may be adding fuel to the fire. So, things may, having conversation, things that you're saying, maybe it's a negative connotation, or, saying it in a way that it is landing, you may have noticed that if you had conversation with somebody and you said something and it triggered someone and they maybe got upset or something happened, and, you really have to kind of step back and look at, what did you say? Like, what happened? And you might have said, well, hey, I didn't mean that didn't mean to happen, but it doesn't mean that it didn't have impact on someone. So we really want to be conscious when we choose what we're saying, and to be able to acknowledge how it is that we are being with other people, even strangers. You can, be with in a restaurant, and you can be talking to, the waitress who maybe had a tough day, and you can just turn that around. I mean, I know that we've been on flights, and, the flight attendant was having a bad day, and Carrie's brilliant at this. He was talking to one of our flight attendants who was not doing really well with their day, and he just said something to make it light and funny, and it changed the energy of that person and how we related to that person for the rest of the flight. And I'm sure it impacted the other people that were on the plane too. So when we're really conscious of the kind of conversations that we are having and what kind of impact it has on other people, it can make a really, really big difference. So one of the other things we want to look at, and we've had another experience with like our housekeeper. Love her, love what she's doing, but we had noticed that, there were certain things that were happening that were not the level of expectation that we had. And, she has, small children, and there were always these things that were coming up that was affecting our service. Now, we had a lot of empathy for her and her family and what was happening, and I think one of the things that we noticed was the more empathetic we were being and the more we would let certain things slide, that more things were happening in the home that were not complete, and things that were not up to the original agreement of the conversation that we had of what we wanted to experience in our home in terms of cleanliness and what the experience we wanted to have in our home after a housekeeper had been there. So, we let it slide a few times, and, really we're talking in terms of, well, we know this is going on and different things are happening. However, we've eventually had a conversation with her that just said, other people who maybe are not having this conversation with you, and us pointing out some of the things that really could be shifted with a little bit more mindfulness, maybe having a better checklist for what's happening, so she doesn't have to keep all these things in her mind of her day, not only with us, but with other people. But, when to bring it to her attention of, these are the expectations we'd like to have, in having clear communication, noticing how we were being in it, in terms of, yes, we were being empathetic, but we also weren't being clear of the experience of what we wanted to have with our work relationship. But we had to acknowledge how we were being in those conversations so that we could have better service, and really helping her to be able to see if she was doing this with other clients, how they maybe would not have had a conversation with her, and they maybe would have just dropped her as a client. In fact, she maybe was losing business because of it as well. And she was very grateful. Of course, we were looking at how we were communicating with her and telling her how, we fully want her to be a long-term, relationship with her, and as our housekeeping, contractor, and just really letting her know that we value her and we wanted her to be in our life for a long time. But we wanted to have these conversations where we were clearing up the expectations that we had and the things that we wanted to experience with our relationship with her. And so she was really grateful for that conversation, and really some of the conversations she was having and the communication that she was having is acknowledging what was happening with her and being able to improve in a way where after her day we would have, conversations. If we weren't there, we would text and say, hey, how is everything? Really having those follow through so that she could have really good customer service. We could express how we were experiencing things with her and really having things be much more smooth. And I'm sure that this impacted, the other people that she was serving as well. So it's just a great example to be able to look at our side of the street, what it is that we are doing, and to have clear communication with other people, and then to also acknowledge how are we adding fuel to the fire to our experiences. We need to be able to look at, in any given situation, are we having the experience that we want to have with other people, and what are we doing to really help that experience in a way that we want it to be, and if we aren't having these communications, and then a lot of times we don't have some tough communications because we want things to be smooth and we want things to not hurt another person. However, not having the conversation can also impact the type of relationship on a deeper level that you want to have as well. So this is for all of our relationships. So really, for today, look at who it is that you're talking to, whether it's, out at a restaurant or grabbing, your coffee or tea, or with your family, or with your clients. Really be mindful of the types of conversations that you are having. Notice and really, almost be like a third person observer where you're seeing how are your words impacting that person. Do you feel like the things that you are saying are adding to their day and you're really shifting the energy of the relationship that you're having with people to be that positive conduit? Or are you potentially being that toxic person where you are impacting people's day that are not only having yourself not have a good experience, but you are impacting other people and not having a good experience either? So remember, we can design our day, we can design our relationships, we can design the experience that we're having for ourselves and for others. So I invite you to really look at that, because I've done this myself. I've gone on autopilot at times where I've said certain things and really not looked at how it landed for other people. And so really being open to the feedback from other people when it's not landing well, and to just have that notice and awareness so that we can shift those and make it so it's a positive experience for all the people who are in our life, for ourselves and for them. So with that, if this talk if this conversation has really spoken to you, if you think that there's someone who could really use this tools that I talked about in terms of having those conversations, please share it. Please get it out there. Please comment on there if you have anything additional that you'd like me to talk about. Then, please put the comments in there. I'll circle back around. I'm happy to answer any of your questions. And, any of those hearts and likes are one of the things I love about having my relationship with you guys, is that, I'm on a track that is serving you in a way that supports you. So please share this. And, with that, I also want to invite you to come back here on Wednesday at 9 a.m. Pacific for my Live Your Spa Life show. And my guest this week is going to be Lisa Sasevich. And really excited to have her on the show and to have her really share about, not only her accomplishments, but how she's had harmony in her life. And so to hear some of her spa life secrets in how that's supports her and how it can support all of us. So really wanting to invite you to be part of our show on Wednesdays, where, if you're like, wow, I don't even know where to begin in really stepping into my spa life, please listen to the sage advice of my guests that are coming on the show to really have some positive impact in all of our lives. So looking forward to seeing you on Wednesday at 9 a.m. for your Live Your Spa Life show. And with that, as always, live your spa life. Bye for now.